What's up, friends? Welcome into Rock Chalk Sports here on ESPN Kansas City and KansasNation.com with Elijah Schmidt, Trey Myers, Jimmy Kaufman, and alongside Dan Courtwright, I'm Sean Kellerman. Thanks for joining us for another edition of the RCS Report here at Kansas
the
Nation.
RCS Report.
Throwback.
Remember when we were throwing around names for the show?
I still have them on here.
I was really adamant about being called the Law Firm.
The Law Firm would be great.
Really wanted
Cocktail
that.
Hour, I kind of like.
Cocktail Hour was good. There was a couple. Yeah. One of our old bosses gave us a good name too.
I shouldn't say that on air.
No, we can't.
Yeah, we had a couple good name options, a couple terrible name options, and then we went with Rock Chalk Sports, which
I like it.
I think it's great.
I think it's
cover everything across KU. So, excited about that. Hey, got a full show for you today. Dan and I were over at the football building, press conferences, as we have been the majority of the past couple weeks as KU football fall camp rolls on. But we are going to talk basketball here in the opening segment. A lot of people saw, I'm sure, on social media last night that Javon Bardwell, who was supposed to be an incoming talent for KU basketball in the class of 2027, has decommitted from KU and also reclassified to 2026. So he'll be joining a college program here this upcoming season. It will not be KU, and a lot of scuttlebutt going on regarding Tre White, Melvin Council potentially returning to Kansas. Want to talk about some of the other guys across college basketball who, when granted that fifth year of eligibility, are now opting to come back. And again, basketball, baseball, it's actually kind of doable because it's not right now. Like we joked yesterday about Lexi Watts. Soccer played a game last night, and we're going to talk about them.
No Lexi Watts sighting, by the way.
Yeah, you can't exactly join a team in a fall sport. At least wouldn't be very easy to do that and then just kind of roll into the season. But a little bit more time before basketball and, of course, the fall sports start. Talk about that in the opening segment. And then we got to talk KU soccer after that. KU soccer wins last night against Utah State 2-0. What a performance again. Utah State, an NCAA tournament team last year. Dan Courtwright, Trey Myers, they were out there getting some photos, some videos. Really exciting night, hot night at Rock Chalk Park. But again, the soccer team is 1-0. And we're going to hear some post-game audio. Nate Lee post-game, as well as Jillian Gregorski, who scored a goal last night. Excited to hear from them. And
she had like 3 chances
here we
at
are.
A goal, and one of them hit the crossbar, went along the line the entire way and hit the other crossbar and then bounced out. I mean, she was on fire last night.
Yeah, Gregorski, she's a special talent. We'll hear from her. Then after that, we're going to hear from Trey Myers. He's going to join the show. He's been an intern with us for a couple months, and he was out there at Rock Chalk Park. He's going to give his take on the game, how KU soccer looks, and perhaps a word on KU basketball as well. Going to go out to the KU football building. Jonathan Wallace, KU's running backs coach, spoke to the media yesterday. We'll hear from him, his thoughts on Yasin Willis, Dylan Edwards, and the rest of the group. And then we're going to hear from some KU volleyball representatives. Head coach Matt Ulmer in his second year at the helm. Of course, KU, just like KU soccer, ranked 15th in the preseason poll. Reese Ptacek, one half of the Peanut Butter Cups. 2 Reeses. We can't come up with
one half of the Peanut Butter Cups.
It's Reese and Reese. I mean, what are we supposed to do with that?
I know.
And they're both spelled R-E-E-S-E.
I like Reese's fast break.
Yeah, Reese's fast break.
They're playing at a faster tempo.
Yes.
I like one half of the because Peanut Butter Cups come in packs of 2.
Yes.
Oh, I get it. Oh, and then they're called Reese's, and their first names are Reese.
Aisha Aiono is also at the podium with Reese Ptacek and Matt Ulmer. And then back to the football building after that. Going to hear from special teams coach Taiwo Onatolu, who last year, of course, coached a position group on the defensive side as well. So a little bit of a transition for him, similar to Jim Zabrowski. A little bit, Coach Z, when we talked to him in the spring, called it a demotion. It's more of a restructuring, focus more, Coach Z, on the passing game, and Onatolu focused more on special teams. Special teams, the first 80% or so of last season was really good.
Yeah, they certainly were, and Taiwo does a really good job, but I think now that he's able to really hone in and focus on the special teams unit, especially, having very nice players in like Martin Connington coming over from Michigan State. You have Matthew Gill, another Aussie punter, and then with the return game and all the intricacies that go into it, he's done a really good job, and now this is his specific thing that he has to work with. And plus, there's an added wrinkle to this because, as we know, with special teams, usually that's the chance for some of the younger guys to get in some reps. And before, when you were working with red shirts, you can only play in 4 games. Now he has the entire roster at his disposal to use on special teams whenever he wants. So that's only going to bolster up the special teams unit as well. So we're really excited about that. And obviously special teams, it's not the sexiest of the things to talk about, but it's certainly one of the most important things. I mean, think about how many times Kansas winds up losing over the last, I mean, you can even go back the last 20 years when Kansas lost due to special teams blunders and different things like that, where, you know, Jamil Croft Jr. stepping out of bounds or missed kicks, missed field goals, so on and so forth.
Punting issues against K-State last year.
Yeah, I mean, so special teams is very, very important. And now that he's solely focused on that, I think it's going to be a great thing.
And a couple potential game-breaking type plays from guys that we know have that ability. Dylan Edwards, Tate Nagy, and some others. So, yeah, we'll hear from Coach O, specialists, a little bit later today. First, let's tell you about Crown Automotive, our founding partners here at Kansas Nation. Miles Schneider is the 2025 Lawrence Citizen of the Year, and there's a reason for it. He will get you in the vehicle that fits your lifestyle. If you're shopping new, shopping used, head on over to Crown on South Iowa in Lawrence. They are the place to go. Great selection of new and used vehicles, as I said, and they have really friendly, kind sales and service staff. CrownAutomotive.com if you're not local. But if you are getting a chance to go over there and say hey to them, tell them that Sean and Dan sent you. We'd really appreciate it. All right, Dan, let's first get into this KU basketball news. You know, everybody loves off-season scuttlebutt, like I said. I think I should try to use that word 2 or 3 more times in this segment.
I think you should.
But Javon Bardwell.
It's on his word of the day calendar.
Really talented guy who was going to be a part of Kansas 2027 team. I think there was a lot of scuttlebutt over the offseason about Bardwell potentially reclassifying to 2026, and it turns out that has come into fruition because now he's doing that, but he's also simultaneously, you know, decommitting from Kansas. So who knows where he will end up. He played a lot with Tyron Stokes, Tay Kenny. So on paper, a big loss for Kansas from a talent standpoint. But let's talk about something we haven't talked about a ton. And we mentioned it last week with Melvin Council, but a lot of KU fans out there now clamoring for Tre White to come back. White, a guy who was a great shooter, really tough player for Kansas last year, had a great showing for the Heat in the NBA Summer League, and now with the new rule, he could theoretically come back for another year. Kind of break down any specifics that I missed and kind of your thoughts on this whole thing.
Yeah, I'll start off with Javon Bardwell specifically because I feel like they're linked in a way, right? So Javon Bardwell was initially committed to Kansas, and then you had the 5-and-5 rule put into action. That affects Tre White. That also affects Javon Bardwell, both ends of the spectrum, where Javon Bardwell has already turned 19, and he was supposed to, or I guess he turns 19, I believe, in May. So if he were to come into Kansas as a class of 2027 commit, his clock would have already started. He would have gotten 1 less year. Now, if he's as good as advertised, that wouldn't really matter, and he would go to the NBA after year 1, right? Because he's a top 20 guy. I believe he was 18 in the class. The number, I want to say like 3 or 4 overall small forward, I guess 5 overall small forward in the class of 2027. Now, there was a lot of talk about him essentially reclassifying, and the fact that he was playing with OTE, it's kind of disbanded as a high school now, so he's gotten all of his stuff done in terms of in the classroom being able to reclassify. But if you look at it logistically, Kansas kind of has an embarrassment of riches, and we've talked about this, at specifically the wing spot where Javon Bardwell plays. You have Tyron Stokes. Now Tyron Stokes can play the 4, and you can put in some other guys, but Kansas also has Cole Rosario. Kansas also has Dennis Parker Jr. They have Leroy Blyden. I mean, they have a ton of guys who can make a meaningful impact at that 3 spot where Javon Bardwell really plays. You also have Trent Perry, right? So I think it certainly makes sense where if he were to reclassify, I'm not sure the playing time would have been there for Javon Bardwell, at least probably what he would want if he were to reclassify and come into Kansas early, right? Now he would get the NIL money and the rev share money and all that different kind of stuff. Sure, that's fine, right? So it makes sense. And the fact that he's going to reclassify, and he came out with a statement. The statement essentially said, first and foremost, I want to thank God for the ability to play the game I love. After the feedback that I received for my performance at Euro Camp in Treviso, Italy, I have made the decision to reclassify to the class of 2026. I am on track academically, and I feel ready physically and mentally. With that being said, after a lot of prayer and deep conversations with my family, I've also decided to reopen my recruitment. So hasn't signed his national letter of intent yet for the University of Kansas, and he's going to try to go elsewhere and try to get some meaningful playing time. And again, I said these 2 stories were linked. You have the fact that Kansas still potentially could, I mean, they're linked. I guess there's mutual interest there with Melvin Council and Tre White. Kansas has 2 roster spots left. If they're going to be able to get 2 guys who could potentially come back, it would be Melvin Council and Tre White. And those guys would immediately be the veterans on the team, the guys who would get a lot of the playing time. And Tre White fits into the mold of playing that 3. We saw it last year. If you remember, I mean, that was weird when he started off playing the 4, and that was just a really strange situation there. But when you look at it holistically, I guess, Tre White being an addition to this roster, I think Tre White, as of right now, is a better player than Javon Bardwell. Javon Bardwell has a higher ceiling, but Tre White in his 5th year of college, especially after spending some time in the summer league playing against legitimate NBA talent, you're going to want Tre White, who's shooting upwards of 40% from the 3-point line, who has a ton of experience, especially playing with a number of different very talented individuals in his time with the Miami Heat and then also in his time with other colleges around. You're going to want Tre White more. And if Tre White comes back, then Javon Bardwell, that just takes away from his playing time as well. So it certainly makes sense, right? The fact that this would do this. And I feel like these are all connected. Now, is Tre White coming back to Kansas a actual, I don't know, possibility right now? It certainly is. That's where everything is kind of moving towards the class of 2022 reclassification, the blanket, blanket injunction that happened in Colorado. It certainly seems like it's gaining some legs, and some guys are going to be taking advantage of it.
So we're pre-recording the show right now, so we're going to continue to track this as the show goes on. We want to make sure we have valid sources.
Yeah.
I know that earlier today, Rob Reinhardt, who is, I wouldn't necessarily say the greatest source of all time.
I don't think it's
posted on Twitter that Tre White will be coming back. And again, we're going to wait until we have legitimate sources, but he said, breaking, Tre White will be returning to Kansas for the 2026-2027 season per source. That was earlier today. Again, I haven't seen any legitimate sources that say this, but yes, that's a big thing. And Bardwell decommitting and reclassifying, whatever you want to call it, led to a lot of Kansas fans on Twitter the past couple of days saying, oh my gosh, this is maybe good news that we're going to get Tre White back. Tre White, last year for KU, shot 40.3% from the field. He had 13.5 points, 6.7 rebounds. I mean, that's a dude who slides in obviously as an automatic starter for Kansas. And, who knows how that affects the Blyden, Rosario, Parkers of the world. But, it's something to keep an eye on. That would add more firepower, certainly offensively, and this would be an even more elite rebounding team than we think it's going to be.
Yeah.
We'll wait. We'll see what comes of it. But the Bardwell story we'll kind of put behind us because he's no longer going to be a Jayhawk. That's fine. Wish him the best wherever he goes. But, yeah, now we continue to track this Tre White story, and we've got a photo that we're going to put up on the screen right here that Field of 68 posted. We knew there would be some guys who opted to come back, but look at some of these names, Dan. Names that jump out to me, of course, Denzel Aberdeen, who started his career at Florida, went to Kentucky for an awkward year, is now with this blanket injunction coming back to Florida. JaMychal Stillwell, we remember him from UCF. He is transferring to Texas Tech. And maybe the biggest name on this list, Darion Williams, who Kansas was hard after before he went to NC State. He is coming back and going back to Texas Tech. I mean, that's going to make Texas Tech even more of a national contender under Grant McCasland. Kendall Weaver is a really good player for Texas, kind of one of those get his nose dirty type. He is transferring from Texas to Houston. That's a huge get for Kelvin Sampson in Weaver's final year, we think, of eligibility. Malik Ewan, a guy that there were reports Kansas was in on, he goes from Arkansas to Oregon. And then Seth Trimble, a guy who I really liked, got to meet him when I was in Chapel Hill last year.
Yeah, does he
really
have a
respectful
Ben &
guy.
Jerry's? Is that what it is?
Yeah, he has a Ben & Jerry's in Chapel Hill.
That's right.
And now it's kind of awkward because he moved on. He graduated from UNC, probably was pursuing professional opportunities. He's coming back, but he's going to Louisville. Louisville trying to buy a championship with more money than anybody else. So those are some big names, but there are some other names as well. MJ Collins, who played at Utah State, transfers with his coach to Cincinnati. So this is just what we've seen most recently. But again, we're going to continue to track this from the Tre White, from the Kansas side of things, because this is going to shake up the roster a lot if this were to happen. Or if it's Melvin Council. If one of those guys comes back, then you've got Blyden, Rosario, and Parker, guys who all we anticipate scoring a lot and having a big impact on this team. How much of a backseat are they taking to a guy that the Miami Heat were literally looking at, in the summer league, and he performed great against other NBA prospects.
Yeah, absolutely. And, that's still not out of the realm of possibility that, he could potentially sign a two-way with the Miami Heat because, if we know anything about the Miami Heat, they have roster spots open, especially for, 6'6" wings like Tre White, who are really good shooters and performed really well in the summer league. But, here's the thing. Realistically, if you're going to want to fill those two roster spots, you're going to want either both Melvin Council and Tre White to come back and fill those two roster spots, or you're going to want one of them, and you can, flip a coin as to who it could be, but you're going to want one of those guys and then maybe another big somewhere, just because that's been a big story about how thin Kansas is in the front court right now. You probably would really like another big. I think the Mihailo Musikic thing is kind of out the window. Obviously, Malik Ewan deciding to go to Oregon. That's out the window. So you're probably looking somewhere else. But at the same time, there's two roster spots, and there's two guys who are looking to come back to Kansas. And I think, like I said, this is my personal belief, that Tre White would be more of an asset for this Kansas team next year than Javon Bardwell would be.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I think Bardwell is going to have a good career. Like you said, he's already 19, but White, this is a guy who's played 4 years of college ball. And again, a knockdown three-point shooter, you can't have enough for that. You almost would feel bad for those three guys that I mentioned that, are coming to Kansas. But at the same time, this kind of shook the entire landscape of college athletics. And, you get 5 and 5.
It was very similar in 2022. If you remember.
2020 also.
2020 also, not 2022.
Yes.
2020 also, where everyone was granted another year of eligibility, and then all of a sudden you had, massive rosters with, overlapping guys. And again, the class of 2022 did get kind of screwed in this because they didn't get an extra year for COVID, and now they're not going to be included in the 5 and 5. So, I actually understand the grievances, if you will, of the class of 2022. The fact that they kind of got the short end of the stick on both of the massive things that happened in college athletics. So, yeah, I think this is going to be a good thing. But, yeah, we'll certainly see. Obviously, it's not said and done yet. It's not like officially official. But the way that things are moving, everything is pointing towards the fact that all these 2022 guys are going to try to come back and play somewhere. Speculation
is speculation, and scuttlebutt is scuttlebutt. I'll tell you that much. That's what we're talking about here in the opening segment. KU basketball, we will let you know, of course. Stay tuned in to Kansas Nation on socials, at the Kansas Nation, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Kansas Nation on Facebook. We'll get you more updates as they come in from reliable sources regarding Tre White, Melvin Council, any roster changes for KU basketball, of course. After this, though, we're talking KU soccer. They were victorious last night at Rock Chalk Park. That's next. ESPN Kansas City, kansasnation.com. With Jayhawk Checking from Central Bank, Jayhawk fans can carry their pride wherever they go with the official Jayhawk debit card. Central Bank is proud to support the traditions and communities that bring people together. As the proud community banking partner of the University of Kansas, Central Bank is committed to serving Jayhawk fans with banking options designed for real life, on campus, at work, and everywhere in between. Learn more about Jayhawk Checking and the exclusive debit card at jayhawkchecking.com. Jayhawkchecking.com, Central Bank, the proud community banking partner of the University of Kansas, member FDIC. Number 15, Kansas Soccer defeats Utah State 2-0 last night at Rock Chalk Park. Third straight season opening win under head coach Nate Lee. Both Jillian Gregorski and Jordan Rowan scored a goal to lead the Jayhawks. Nate Lee saying after the game, a little bit more choppy than either team would like, but he was impressed by Utah State. Overall, happy with KU's performance, and we're going to hear Coach Lee in full here very shortly. But Kansas started the match off slow. Didn't get a shot off until the 13-minute mark. You mentioned Gregorski had 3. That was her first shot. It was saved by the USU goalkeeper, but then she connected in the 17th minute. It was 1-0 at halftime, and then Kansas would extend in the 84th minute, kind of get a little bit of separation. Merritt McLaughlin advanced it to the 18-yard box to Jocelyn Harima, who found Rowan, and she had the left-footed goal. KU led then pretty comfortably 2-0 with just 6 minutes to play. But KU, Dan, now unbeaten in 11 straight non-conference matches. That dates back to September 1st of 2024. 17-11-4 all-time in season openers. And it also was 96 degrees out there.
It was hot.
Which was the hottest match in Rock Chalk Park history. Gregorski has scored the first KU goal in each of the last 3 seasons. That's pretty cool. So Good start for KU soccer, and now they head to take on Missouri State Sunday afternoon, 10:30 a.m. kickoff, so shouldn't be quite as hot when they head to Springfield, but a great start for Coach Lee and KU soccer.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to be out there, man. I mean, it was hot, it was humid. Trey and I were standing behind the goal, and I was just like drenched in sweat. But no, it was a lot of fun. And I mean, Kansas, like you said, kind of got off to a little bit of a slow start, and we saw that last year with this Utah State team because of the fact that they play an interesting style of defense, but Kansas wound up tilting the field for essentially the rest of the game. It was a little bit choppy. You know, it was really hot out there. I think you can kind of tell the elements were beating down on them a little bit. Plus, there's a lot of substitutions as well. There's 20 girls who wind up getting in this game. That's unusual for a Nate Lee kind of game, if you will, right? He usually doesn't like to do a lot of substitutes. I think since it was so hot, he was kind of giving a lot of these ladies a little bit of a break, if you will, and trying to get a little bit more playing time for some of these freshmen, all these, you know, illustrious freshmen that we've heard so much about. But no, it was an exciting game front to back. I think, like I said, Kansas tilted the field well. Jillian Gregorski wound up having 5 shots, 2 of them on goal. Really, I mean, as always, up to the discretion of like some guy in the box on what's on goal. I thought she had 3 shots on goal, and 2 of them just were so freaking close. But no, she winds up finding the back of the net in that first half. Jordan Rowan winds up scoring late in this one as well, making it a 2-0 victory. But I thought all in all, I mean, Nate Lee said it was choppy. I think as a casual viewer, you wouldn't have really noticed, right? Just because of the fact that I thought the passes were really clean. You know, there was a lot of attempts. And we talked to Henry Greenstein about this because Henry had a sit down with Nate Lee talking about this Utah State game and the fact that last year he said it was their most chanceless game that they had. They weren't short of chances in this one. It was 13 shots in this one, and Sophie Daub, by the way, shout out to her, 3 saves in this one. All 3 of them were just incredible, and she did an excellent job of having just a clean sheet, and she's going to be so good on the defensive side for this Kansas team. Carolyn Castans didn't get to touch the ball a lot. She was really great on corner kicks, and before the game, by the way, I mean, she was just like pinning the ball in the most perfect places. I mean, Trey and I were standing under there, and we're like, how is that even possible for her to, you know, kick these corners? And again, this was like pre-game, but she was just pinning these balls perfectly for these ladies to you know, score in the warm-up. So really impressive stuff, obviously, on the Herman Trophy watch list. So that'll be really exciting to kind of follow her throughout this entire season. But, you know, you had a lot of newbies kind of come in and get some meaningful playing time. But you also have some, you know, names of old like, you know, Emily Tobin got in there for a little bit, right? I mean, Livy Moore, who's a big-time player for this one, Kate Langfelder, Jordan Feldstad. Like, you have a number of ladies from this last year's team who are going to be really excellent players for this year. And I think it's so important to get off to such a hot start. And again, having 13 shots and completely tilting the field, essentially it felt like having it on Utah State's side of the field the entire time was so massive for them.
Trey Myers has been covering KU soccer these last few games. Of course, the exhibition against Iowa and then last night against Utah State. We're going to have him on next segment to break this game down more and talk about you know, what makes KU soccer so special under Coach Lee. But first, let's hear from the man himself, Coach Lee, post-game, his 3rd year at the helm at KU, victorious in all 3 season openers.
Game, and what did you like to see from the team today?
It's a hot one. So BP just told me that it was the hottest temperature ever at kickoff at RCP history. It was challenging for both teams that they added 2 water breaks per half, and so you were playing in 15-minute chunks, and then we had 2 video reviews. So the game was a little bit more choppy than probably either team would like. Was very impressed by Utah State. You know, they gave us everything we could handle last year. We tied, and I've said this before, I think we created less chances against them last year than we ever have here at KU. They're super organized, really dangerous on the break, some very good individual skill that like kids got out of situations we're not used to. And so I thought overall I was happy with the performance. I think that there's 2 parts when things went wrong. One is Utah State's a very good team with very good players, and they're going to make plays, and then we'll just have to adjust. The second is we make unforced errors that give them energy. I thought for first game of the year, it's understandable. I think going forward, we'd like to cut those errors. And so, you know, our team knows our structure pretty well. These mistakes they probably wouldn't make in training. Fatigue gets you, nerves get you, a good opponent gets you. And so I thought we had 2 spells where we gave them too much momentum and had to defend for stretches I don't prefer, but those were the exception. I thought we were on the front foot most of the night. I thought the players largely executed the game plan. Great job to the coaches. I thought the scout was pretty spot on. And so we will have to find goals this year. And players that would probably be high on the list that you might guess would get them, got them. And Jill's really let us take a breath after like a frantic opening. And then Joe's did feel like it iced it, right? We still had to see it out, but that was really important to make those last 7-8 minutes feel a bit different. Both were quality, and you can't. I'm taking this win, and I told the team I'm pretty happy with it.
How great is it to see Jill opening night get one? Could have had 2 or 3.
Yeah,
as
that one off the post, I can't believe it didn't go in.
No, me too.
And she took that so well. It's
right.
like everything we tell the players to do. I mean, I saw you, like, I've been telling people on record and I've been telling people off record. She looks very sharp. She looks very assured. She looks very hungry. She knows that we're counting on her. Not that we have to rely on her, but that she's a personality player for us. And she was and has been, but probably need her to continue to grow in that arc. And so I'm glad she found her goal. I think she'll find quite a few this year.
How important was it for you? You played 20 players in the first half. You were subbing. I think everybody came off at one time or another. I think you had one field player play the whole time, and then your goalie played. How important was it to you to get those players in? Was that, do you think like maybe the choppiness of your play might have had something, playing 20 players,
Yes.
It's hard to build consistency there. Was that trying to get people experience because of the heat? A little bit of both there. Talk about using so many players, especially early in the match.
Fair play on you. You called me out on it. I will take accountability, yes. The shuffling, the chopping and changing, the adjusting the lineup certainly didn't help flow, right? And there was one point in the first half where we probably had 6 freshmen on the field, something like 7 or 8 newcomers. And so, yeah, them not finding, the rhythm is understandable. I also think they're good enough players where we can hold them to a certain standard. And so, we'll take a little bit of responsibility in that. I think we did have a plan to use a bunch of players. Most of those substitutions were not necessarily a result of the heat. I think towards the end we had a player or two kind of come up with cramps. Those were a little bit more because of the conditions. But first half it was all part of the plan. I told Caroline and Kate I hope to not play them 90 this year. We got up to like 83. We're working on it. They're great players, so it's hard. I've said this to our team. We tried to identify our strengths, and if we're going to be affirming, we want to say super strength, superpowers. And I think there's a chance that one of our super strengths can be our depth. It should be up front, as long as we can get those kids all firing. There's, maybe not enough minutes. We've got to have a couple of those players emerge, and but I think we're going to build midfield depth. As we get healthy, hopefully we build depth in the back. First of all, shout out to all of our defense, our goalkeeper. It's 2 shutouts, and we played. Our first 4 center backs we played were 3 freshmen and a transfer. And maybe Tobin snuck in, but for them to be able to, and we limited. I don't think we gave up too much dangerous. There were moments that looked dangerous, but I don't think any of the shots were particularly dangerous, and so.
We had 3 shots on goal for the whole match.
Yeah, I think the most dangerous one is when we gave them the ball away and the kid shot it from midfield.
Right.
Great. I mean, Sophie's incredibly athletic. But no, I think this team, I've said it, the bottom of this team is so different in a positive way. What we have to try to do is make sure that group that didn't play as much stays as hungry, stays as sharp, stays as fit, that they understand that positions aren't settled. It's a long season, but no, we want to use depth, and we're gonna, I've used the analogy, we're gonna body punch teams to death. And I think even if you look at the end of this game, usually when you're defending a 1-0 lead against a good team, you're probably put under more pressure on the back foot. I thought we were able to stay on top of them, and I think a lot of that is, all the substitutions that we made throughout the game.
Last year, you played Utah State to a 0-0 draw, and you kind of chalked up to the mid-block, and you said it was the chanceless, I guess the most chanceless game that you had last year. No shortage of, chances this time around. I mean, what did you see this second time around comparatively, I guess, to last year?
Well, I think, again, I think the scout was good. And we last year didn't adjust soon enough to their low block and to the spaces they were taking away, right? And so we like to try to challenge people through the heart of their defense, and they're like, that is not happening against us, right? And so this year we're like, we probably have to go around more, and that's one thing I'm proud of. Is from the beginning I thought we were taking territory wide, and we weren't great with our crosses today, and we weren't great in our movement in the box, but we were at least generating the crosses. I think we got the number that we would want, and we can fix the delivery and the runs. So I thought the players executed the game plan well, and I think we have good players out there that can create dangerous moments.
You talked the other day, and your players did too, about sort of how the standard's been elevated since you've been here. You guys have gotten used to winning here, but tonight you celebrated it. How important is that for you to see? Let's not forget to enjoy these, no matter when they come or who they're against.
Well, I've seen a lot of personality out of this group, more than in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I feel they like each other. I feel that they're willing to be vulnerable and silly around each other. And for whatever reason, I didn't sense a lot of it tonight. I think, the nerves and whatever. I went into halftime, it was very quiet.
Okay.
And so Jill, who is growing into a great leader, I just grabbed her and I'm like, hey, when we all get together, let's just see, give a loud yell. And I couldn't find her, so it didn't go exactly as I was planned. But I want them to understand that winning's hard. In this team, winning's very hard. And we experienced this a little bit in my past school. That you feel like even when you beat good teams, it's checking the box. I don't want that feeling here. I don't want it for myself. Right? We only get 19 of these regular season matches. We only get 8 here at Rock Chalk. I want us to enjoy the occasion, and when we win, I want us to celebrate that. And they would train all off season for these matches, and let's embrace them.
I probably know the answer, but with Caroline Castans being named to the Herman Trophy watch list, did you talk to her at all about that? And I don't think that changes her mindset at all, but how cool is that to have her recognized like that?
It's great. She deserves it. She's, we had a little bit of a cramping situation. So Caroline, hey, move to center back. Got it. And what a kid that can be an All-American at wing back and then just move her back to center back. She'd probably be an All-American there too. I actually didn't speak to her the Herman thing. I think I knew, and maybe she knew, that she was going to be on it. That's what you get when you're. She was just named to the best 11 team in the entire country by a publication, and people know her, and people are going to scout her, and they're going to try to neutralize her as much as they can. And if they tilt their defense that way, then we've got to be able to punish them on the other side. And I do think Livy is going to get there. And Lydia. What was nice is Lydia didn't get as much run in the first half. In the second half she did, and I thought she was dangerous down the right wing. And but no, Caroline deserves it. We haven't quite talked about it yet.
4 straight road matches after this. How important was it for you all? Because it's the start of the season, but to win at home before you head out on the road for the next couple of weeks. I know you have a 2-match weekend in Ohio and Missouri State and everything. How important was it to get the season started with a win before you head on the road for a couple of weeks?
Huge. We only get 8 of these. And Matt, you're like, we're getting used to winning at Rock Chalk. Not enough.
Right.
We haven't won here enough. It should be the big exception. It should be, it shouldn't happen very often losing this place. And we want to make that statement. We want to defend this stadium. We want to put on a product that the community can get behind. And then now we have some hard work. We're getting on a bus Saturday, then we're getting on a plane, and then we're getting on another plane. And, our match on Sunday, I believe, is already moved.
It's 10:30.
So when you go on the road, it's a lot nicer dealing with those situations at home than it is on the road. But we've, I think, planted our flag in being a good program on the road. We have to live up to that standard. We're not afraid to play road games. We will play if we want good games, right? And wherever those good games are, we'll head there. But the ones we have at home, we only have 3 non-conference. We've got to value them greatly.
Any other questions?
That's KU head soccer coach Nate Lee after the 2-0 win over Utah State in the season opener last night. One of the stars of the game, Jillian Gregorski, as she has scored in KU's season opener each of the last 3 seasons. Here's Jillian postgame.
A little bit. The overcast was so nice, so it wasn't like beating on us,
Right.
which I appreciate.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
You ready?
How's it feel to open the season with a win here at home, especially a shutout win?
That's huge. That's our goal. Coming here and like we know what we're capable of. So that was big for us. Shutout is just even more awesome. We have a great back line. New players, returners, transfers, like big time they could come out with no goals to score against. And Softa always amazing in the back of the net, as well as our forwards that just hunt after hunt. And JoJo was awesome with that goal.
You got the first one of the season. That'll be historic. You know, one of those things people look back on. And it was such a you goal, right? Can you just take us through what you saw and how you got it in?
Yeah, so I think it came out from out wide. Forwards just do so good job at hunting, such a good job. So I was kind of in the mix. It got crossed, then kind of deflected, then fell it to me, and I knew that like if I got anything on it, like hard firm strike, like the goalie was kind of blinded, so it would have been like super much harder for her to save. And I was lucky it went in.
Right. Yeah, we've known you enough now to know that you could care less about your own stats. But given that Lexi's no longer here and you guys need to find some of her goals,
Yeah.
Did you have that mindset tonight? Like, I want to go get a couple. I mean, because you almost did get a couple, especially that one.
Yeah, I mean, I think my mindset is only like how can I help the team, and I know one of my strengths is I can put the ball in the back of the net, and I think that's what our team needs, and that's how we win.
Right.
So personally, it's not like me being the goal scorer. It's like if I can score a goal to help the team or I can assist, that's like my main goal.
Cool. What about this one? I mean, did you see the whole thing when it hit the post? And
Yeah, it was a great strike. I saw it hit the post, and I was like, this could be interesting. It could go in, it could go out. You never know. Sometimes posts didn't like you, but that means that might be something good coming in the future.
There
so
you
I'll
go.
take it.
Did you think it was in though? I mean,
I don't know. It had some spin on it,
Right.
so you never know.
Cool.
Coach Lee talked about last year. They played that mid block, and he said that it was the most chanceless, I guess, game that you had last year. And I know it's asking a lot to look back to last year, but what did you see differently this year against this Utah State team? I mean, obviously going up to Logan last year, ending in a 0-0 tie.
Yeah, well, great question. I think last year we struggled with finding where the space was. I think this year we really prioritized like putting the ball into spaces that we have space, players can do something, instead of like jamming it down the middle or like trying to play too much. And I think tonight we just knew exactly what we needed to do, where the space was going to be. And credit to our coaches for scouting, because they were on point on where that space was going to be. And proud of our girls for just executing.
What did you think of the young freshmen tonight?
Oh, awesome. They've been working so hard. I'm so proud of them. It's just so awesome seeing their individual success. I know they're so team focused, and that's like what makes them great, but individual success like is really awesome, especially as a freshman. You never know if they're like scared, nervous, excited to come into a game, and they came in like they have done this before, and it was awesome.
Talk about one last question. Talk about the importance of patience when you're playing a strong defensive team like this. How important is it to not get frustrated if you go, 5 or 10 minutes where it's like you're not firing shots, and how important is it to just be patient and keep waiting for your chances and take advantage of them?
Yeah, that's exactly what Coach has said. Credit to the back line. They were super patient tonight, didn't force anything. I think us being patient makes them tired. Like if we can swing the ball and be patient and just wait for the opportunity, wait for them to show a gap, like that's honestly what we do. And I credit to those girls. Like they've been really good at being patient and just like finding the right moments.
Hey, how important is it to celebrate? Like,
Yeah.
You're at home. You guys have gotten used to
Yeah.
winning here.
Yeah.
You do win here a lot, but
Totally.
still, new season, first win, and you guys did look like you celebrated it.
Yeah, it was awesome. These fans make us who we are. Like we couldn't have this success without them. So I think we owe it to them to celebrate our wins too. As much as they're here for us, like we have to show our appreciation too. And just as a team, like we deserve it. We deserve to celebrate a little bit too. So that's awesome.
Perfect.
KU soccer on a hot night at Rock Chalk Park wins 2-0 over Utah State, who was an NCAA tournament team last year, and KU kind of controlled it throughout. But Jillian Gregorski continues to be one of the best players in the Big 12 Conference, and now the Hawks will head to Springfield on Sunday morning time affair, 10:30. How about that?
It got moved because of the weather.
Avoid the heat.
So.
But yeah, exciting win for KU soccer last night.
Yeah, certainly. And Jillian Gregorski's, more than likely he's going to be the leading scorer for this Kansas team for this year, but very different play styles from Lexi Watts, because Lexi Watts kind of had to have the ball on her at all times. Meanwhile, Jillian Gregorski, her teammates are just finding her open, and that's kind of was the case from last year as well. But Jillian Gregorski, very different play style, and I think it's kind of coming together as a team as a whole with that chemistry being built amongst everybody, and the chemistry is starting to be built sooner rather than later, right? I mean, you're seeing all these new freshmen coming in. You can see the touch passes and different things, when you're around that goal, and they're just being able to find Jillian Gregorski. Like I said, 5 shots yesterday. 2 of them were on goal. Really, 3 of them were on goal. So I think you're going to see a lot more of Jillian Gregorski's name being put up there, and a lot more points from Jillian Gregorski being put up there this season.
Yeah, we saw yesterday, we talked about how Caroline Castens was recognized, named to the Herman Trophy watch list. Gregorski, a girl, I should say, who didn't get a lot of preseason recognition from an individual standpoint. But again, Big 12 programs know how good she is. And like I said, she's going to be scoring a lot of goals this season. Next up, KU soccer against Missouri State and Springfield on Sunday. After this, we're going to bring on Trey Myers. He's going to tell us about his outlook from the soccer game last night, and a couple basketball questions as well for Trey. Then we're going to go back to the football building and hear from KU running backs coach Jonathan Wallace to talk about how deep he thinks this running back room is for this upcoming season. That's all next. ESPN Kansas City, kansasnation.com. Sean Kellerman, Dan Courtwright back with you today for another edition of Rock Chalk Sports. Been talking KU soccer, KU basketball. Of course, there's been a lot in the news about Tre White potentially returning to Kansas. We don't know yet what that looks like. We know that we're very confident the roster with how it is right now, but as the days keep rolling and the season gets closer, we'll see what comes about. We showed, if you missed our opening segment, Field of 68's kind of chart of which guys are returning after thinking their eligibility was exhausted and where they're going. Notable names: Darion Williams to Texas Tech, Seth Trimble to Louisville. Very, very strange world we're living in right now, in the world of college athletics. But we're going to talk KU soccer. We just heard from Nate Lee, Jillian Gregorski post-game, and we're going to bring on Trey Myers. Trey, appreciate you coming on. You want to chime in?
I have one thing I wanted to say. What are we going to call the segment?
I don't know. We have not decided on a segment name.
We've determined.
Don't give anything away. Don't give anything away.
We have 2 interns, and we have a good name for one of the interns. 2 guys. Yeah. But we don't have – and I said Myers to go.
Yeah, I don't like that at all.
What about – because they're like Miles to go, like with less miles.
Right, but Miles is an actual like –
So Trey Myers –
measurement of distance.
Because we have our classic segment, 3 things.
Well, yeah. 3 things is one of our favorite segments.
It's one of our favorite classic segments. We do it almost every single time. Yeah. So what about Trey's COSA?
You're stealing. These are my ideas.
Those are not your ideas.
I said 3 things, and I said
you're the boss.
Said,
you can determine what.
I said what is things in Spanish,
and I looked it up.
And you looked it up. So it's your idea.
Who Googled it. Exactly. You're the boss. You can determine what the name of the segment's going to be called.
Anyway, Trey, we welcome you on.
Yes,
we don't really know what we're going to call the segment if you haven't figured that out.
I think both names are pretty good.
Yeah.
The Myers to go reference was lost on me, but after realizing it's
young.
pretty good.
You're young.
But it just Myers isn't a measurement.
I'm aware.
Okay.
I know this.
We'll come up with something.
But if you have any ideas, shoot us our way.
But Trey is going to be covering KU soccer for us. He was there last night. Trey, very warm evening over at Rock Chalk Park.
Very warm.
Yeah. And then Iowa, of course, was the exhibition. We won't say a lot about that because, it's kind of touchy. But everything gets to be blasted about the game last night, the season opener. KU wins 2-0 over Utah State. You and I were talking a little bit before the show. KU kind of controlled the possession on this, and then it seemed like they did what they needed to, got their 2 goals. That's always a win, and pitched a shutout on the other side.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good game. I was impressed. KU really played fast. They were pressing high. They had really good crosses. They were able to progress the ball much better than I thought Utah State was. They were really able to – it was kept out of the midfield pretty much the entire game. But once they were able to get their center backs on the ball, they were able to get it back up to the forwards almost immediately and then just create way more pressure than Utah State was able to.
And then Sophie Daw is a senior. We talked a lot about her. It's kind of like I'm trying to think of a great reference from another sport. Offensive line maybe would be to where you really notice them if they miss a block, and otherwise you don't really talk about them, right? Kind of like this. It's like, oh, yeah, KU wins 2-0. If Utah State scores 4 goals last night, we're talking about the goalkeeper, and we're talking about, well, Sophie Daw really had an issue. She gave up 4 goals, and, there are other defensive players as well that would be at fault. But you're looking at the goalkeeper. 2-0, let's talk about the goalkeeper because she's been doing this consistently, and Kansas Soccer has won a lot of games the past couple seasons with her protecting the net.
Yeah, I believe they said it was like her 15th clean sheet of her career. But overall, I mean, she was just standing most of the game. It was pretty impressive. She hasn't been tested a lot this year, but when she has, it's been spectacular. Not allowed anything, always keeping pressure. And then once she was able to get the ball in her vicinity, she was able to clear it out very quickly. And, I mean, caused no issues for Kansas, allowed to keep them on offense the whole game.
Yeah, for sure. Trey Myers from Kansas Nation joins the show. Our intern, taking the diapers off, as Sean talked about yesterday.
Yikes!
What do you mean, yikes? You said
Wow!
that.
Wow!
We're taking the diapers
off. Oh my gosh!
He's in.
My daughter had some diaper problems yesterday. So
You did.
Yeah,
you talked about it on the show.
We had some issues, yes, but she did not choke.
When I talk about diapers, it's weird.
She did not choke on a piece that I was worried that she had ingested while I was brushing my teeth, but we were good on that.
Well,
front.
that's certainly good.
Yeah.
Wanted to talk about maybe some of the newcomers because if you look at Kansas soccer teams of the past, they don't do a lot of rotation, right? He really likes those starters out there and play a lot of the game. And then you looked at it yesterday, 20 different ladies were able to get out onto the field. I mean, talk about just the impact that all of them have because this is kind of an illustrious freshman class coming in. You have some really nice transfers too, but it feels to me that, you lose, Olivia Page, you lose Sage Wimes, you lose Lexi Watts. I mean, those are three really massive pieces from last year. And now it feels like they're starting to kind of try to figure out how they're going to plug and play some different players to, I guess, replace them.
Yeah, I mean, I think last night, honestly, it was as simple as it was a bajillion degrees. It's super hot. And like I said, they're pressing the whole game. So you almost have to make some subs at that point. But I mean, the the non-conference schedule, that's built for seeing what you have. So it's always good to rotate a couple players in and getting to see what this freshman class is. It's supposed to be one of the better class in KU's history of the Nate Lee era especially. So, yeah, getting to see what they have. And I had no notes. They were pretty good. They were all pretty good. No one stood out in a bad way, I would say.
Yeah, it's kind of funny you say that because that's the vibe I got from Nate Lee. Like, he was asked questions, as we heard last segment, and it seemed like he was trying to think of something to say, positive or negative other than, it was pretty good performance. I was pretty happy. But that's what you want here in the season opener. And I'm sure there will be some bumps and bruises and, all that happens throughout the course of a season. But a great start for KU Soccer. Again, at the Kansas Nation, you can find us on social media. Trey Myers is going to be out there this season covering KU Soccer. Hopefully another deep run in the NCAA tournament. Trey, we were talking in the opening segment when you were behind the cameras kind of about this Javon Bardwell, Tre White mess. What do you make of this rule that came out? There was an injunction a couple weeks ago that is allowing everybody from the high school class of, what is a high school class of? 22. So, the 2022 class, which initially was the one that got the short end of the stick because of the COVID year and everybody getting an extra year except then and all that. But now they get a fifth year of eligibility, and it's kind of it seems last second because the school year is here, but a last second deal where it's going to be most magnified in football and basketball because those are the sports most under the microscope. But, there's chatter about maybe Tre White coming back to KU, maybe Melvin Council, who knows, just kind of a weird spot we're in right now.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of weird. I definitely was not, Tre White had an incredible senior season. It was really nice getting to see him actually get to play for KU after committing back when I was even in middle school. Going all the way back and then getting to see him come home. And he was a player that I was constantly this is someone I would want to be a Jayhawk for 2 to 3 years, get to see how they grow. So potentially getting another year out of Tre White, especially his fifth year, where he's going to be 22, 23, one of the older players on the roster, but he's experienced. This guy's been a double-figure scorer for multiple programs, all Power 5. And just being a leader in the locker room, we have a bunch of freshmen coming in. We have a bunch of transfers. Not a lot of carryover, so getting a veteran presence in that locker room also helps.
Yeah, absolutely it does. And, with Javon Bardwell, I talked about it in the open, it was he's probably not going to get the playing time that he would necessarily want, I guess. Trey, looking at this basketball season kind of holistically, obviously bringing in Tyron Stokes, bringing in Tate Kinney, all of the transfers who are going to be coming in. I guess what are some storylines that you're going to be following, aside maybe from the obvious of will Tyron Stokes go number one, right? I mean, are you looking at the front court? Are you looking at, who's going to be playing at the wings? What are some storylines that kind of pique your interest, I guess?
I mean, center's obviously a big one. No one exactly knows what's going on. It would have been nice to have Reeves get a full offseason, but unfortunately he had the, I believe, labrum injury.
Yeah.
Paul looks in great shape. He looks much like just the videos, even the socials been put on. You can tell Paul's playing at a different level. But then it's also, okay, could we slide Keanu Dallas to the 5? Really good rebounder, really good post-up scorer. Do you want to play, I think he's 6'9", 6'8", 6'9". Do you want to play that small at the 5 all the time? That's probably not a long-term solution, but that's more of like a 5 minutes at the end of the half. And then one thing I'm seeing is just who's going to handle the ball. Primarily, we have Kenny and Blyden. Both, if Tre White doesn't come to the roster, I assume both would start at this point. But you only have 2 players who are legitimate point guards. Do you trust Tyron Stokes to be a third ball handler? If take Kenny were pull a hamstring after miss a couple games, do you I don't want I think Blyden's great. I think he's going to be really good. I don't want him handling the ball for 40 minutes. I don't think any college player should handle the ball for 40 minutes. So it's do we trust Stokes enough to do that, or do we need to fill one of these 2 roster spots with another guard?
Yeah, it's interesting because that's kind of been where I'm at. And everything we've talked about the offseason, I guess the past, 6 weeks or so Kansas has been looking for another big. Malik Ewan and Mihajlo Musikic and all that. And you haven't heard a lot about another guard. And that's been my thing. And, I think Bill Self's in the classic situation right now where he's happy with the roster, but also not against adding a potential talented guy. Now, whether that is a former Jayhawk like White or Council and how those 2 would fit, or, somebody else that they would get late in the game, I do think that's important, is you have to have another guy to bring up the ball, because that's not really Cole Rosario's game. It's not really Dennis Parker Jr.'s game. When you have Kenny and Blyden on the court at the same time, you don't really have another option. And how often, going back to the beginning of the DeJuan Harris years, Remy Martin was injured a lot that season. How often does Bill Self say that he played his point guard too many minutes? He's going to say that all the time. He said it all the time about DeJuan Harris. And he said it all the time about Melvin Council. And, I just worry a little bit from a depth perspective, because as we've seen, DeJuan Harris is a great example. He was so much better when he only played 30 minutes, but that never happened because he had to be out there. KU didn't have trust in any other potential ball handler. So that'll be interesting again, especially if Blyden is out there playing the 2, because then, everybody talks about, Stokes can bring the ball up, but is that really, how often is that going to happen other than off a missed shot?
And do you really want him doing that?
Yeah. So I don't know. That'll be interesting, but the scoring should be a lot better this year, because Kansas has been in the 50s in KenPom offensively the past couple of years. It seems like the guys they've brought in and the improvement of somebody like Rosario, bringing in Stokes too, you should be able to get a lot of buckets there.
Yeah, I feel good about the offense. The way the roster's set right now, well, I would like to add 2 players, even if they're not super high impactful players. I would like maybe a third guard or another big. But I think the primary function of our team, the primary scoring that's going to come from this team, the production's already there. I think we're going to see Stokes and Kenny both be double-figure scorers as freshmen. I can see Blyden 12, 13 points a game. We have 4 of the 5 starters. I feel pretty confident at least can score double figures anytime you need it. And then also Dennis Parker is one of the best scorers in the nation. Granted, at Bradford, small school, but he's a senior. The guy played on a Final Four team. He's experienced. And Rosario is, he's supposed to be a spot-up shooter. I know he struggled last year, but, if you look at the way he came off the bench in St. John's, that guy's confident. He'll be able to knock down shots. So I think the scoring's there. It's just how are we going to facilitate it is more of the questions. Who's going to have the ball at what? Who's going to get what usage? And kind of where we go from there.
Yeah. Trey, I wanted to play one of my favorite games. It's Guess That Starting 5. I want you to give me your starting 5. Imagine a world where it sits. I actually don't imagine a world because we're in the world right now. Tre White, Melvin Council are not on the team right now.
I can't imagine it.
What Kansas has, as of right now, on their roster, who's the starting 5?
I think right now, as it makes sense, center would have been a much more of a competition. I think just Reeves not getting an extended offseason is really going to hurt him. So I think Mbia, knowing the system, in better shape, I think Mbia is going to be the 5. Dawes has to start. Dawes is going to be, because even if Mbia starts, and he's not an offensive focal point. Dawes, if you look at his advanced numbers, is an incredible back to the basket, hits jump hooks, hits turnarounds. The Flory production you got on offense last year, Dawes is going to step into that role primarily. And then, I don't know, like, I assume they're going to go the two small guards, Kenny and Blyden, and that makes the most sense. Obviously, you're going to want them spread apart. You're going to stagger those minutes if we don't add another point guard. But I think to start and finish games, we'll go two and just have the double ball handler similar, like a Mason Graham. That's obviously a self-style. Then, obviously, there's no way Tyron Stokes is not start.
Tyron Stokes in the starting lineup. Interesting. How
Very
about that?
hot take. Very hot take.
So you think Rosario comes off the bench?
I would assume Rosario and Parker are going to come off the bench. They could. Honestly, I expect them both to get roughly 18 to 25 minutes a game. Kind of depends on who self favors. I think we're gonna have 7, and then Atkins fills into that 8th man. Whether that could be 10 minutes a game. Self teams we've seen before, that's 2 minutes a game. How much do they trust Atkins is the question. I think Rosario and Parker make the most sense off the bench, but they're gonna get a lot of time of that too. When Kenny and Blyden are getting their minutes staggered.
Yeah, we'll see how it works out because there's a lot of talent, and it's up to the coaches to figure out how to best insert those guys. Bill Self said a lot of great things about Luke Barnett, too, regarding him being not just a great shooter, but somebody who's ready to impact this team right away. Trey, appreciate you coming on camera with us. We're going to have you on again. We're going to talk KU basketball. We've got a lot to get to as fall sports is upon us, but appreciate all the great work you did last night, KU soccer, and looking forward to a fun season on that front.
Yeah, sounds great. Having fun.
Yeah, man. Awesome. Let's do it. Kansas Nation, we got Trey Myers, Tyler Brewer, who have helping us out the past couple months, and you're going to be seeing a little bit more of them the coming months here on Kansas Nation. Hey, before we kick it to a break, we're going to hear from KU running backs coach Jonathan Wallace. Wallace, of course, in charge of leading a very talented group of tailbacks, Dylan Edwards, Yasin Willis, Jalen Dupree, and more. Let's hear from KU's running backs coach Jonathan Wallace.
Good morning.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
How's everything going for your group so far?
I believe that through 7 practices now, you guys have been putting in a lot of work. We put a lot on their plate, and I told those guys the other day, I'm not going to show any pity to them in that, right? I think at the end of the day, we know what Coach K loves to do, right? And it's our job to go out and execute those things. And I'm really proud of these guys and what they've been able to do to prepare for that, right? The quizzes that are sent out to those guys, the walkthroughs, the extra walkthroughs that we get an opportunity to do in this time period. Coming and watching extra film with me. I'm super proud of the efforts that these guys have really put one foot in front of the other to do, and they're going out and they're executing and doing it, right? And that's the exciting piece. And there's still a lot that we got to get cleaned up. We had like today we had a turnover in the red zone, which I was pretty upset about, and then the guys know the standard, right? They know we expect excellence out of them. We're going to continue to demand that out of them because there's a high standard that we have here, and we're going to uphold that. So.
I think we've heard about these quizzes. What are all these quizzes that you give these guys?
Yeah, so using Just Play, which is a great app for our guys. We can fix it up however we want. So just giving these guys different ways to reference calls, being able to draw formations, being able to reference tempo calls that we maybe have, being able to just understand shifts and motions and all these, any and everything that you can imagine. We're putting into these quizzes for these guys just to reference again, right? They'll get it in the mornings, they'll get it at night. I send extra ones to them because again, we want to go out and execute and get it right. And and so at the end of the day, I think anything I can do as a teacher, right, to help our guys continue to put one foot in front of the other, we want to make sure we do that in great detail. So.
I think Coach White mentioned the other day you wish you guys were a little healthier at running back. Obviously, Corey's been limited a little bit. Just how do you kind of work through that, maybe not having a full complement of guys?
Yeah, well, that's why you go and you get a full room, right? Because you're going to need them. You never know when somebody may go down and it's next man up mentality. And I'm really proud of our guys and the way they've been able to handle it, right? Through this fall camp, guys are still able to get reps through walkthroughs and jog throughs that we have, which is super critical to their development and our team success. And And I think we've handled it very well. You know, and I think on the other side of it, it's been really good to be able to see what guys can step up, and you know, and then you know what guys can push through if they're getting extra reps, if they're tired, they're fatigued. How are they focusing? How are they executing in those situations? And so, on both sides of that, I think it's been really good for this room, you know, to go through some of that. You know, so I think at the end of the day, yeah, we want to get, you know, as many full speed reps as we possibly can. But at the same time, we're going to continue to push through and find ways to get these guys moving forward.
A lot of praise for your guys from the coaching staff as a whole. There's depth there, there's experience there, there's talent there. Is there something there that you're unsure of with your room?
Unsure of? What can't they do?
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's the fun part of this room is that there's so many different skill sets. There's a good variety of speed and power and catchability, and guys being able to separate the routes. And it's a lot of fun, you know, being able to see, you know, every single one of them being put in different situations. And so, you know, I think at the end of the day, we're going to continue to press forward, you know, and figure out what we can't do, right? But at this time, no, I can't say that. I don't know that there's anything that they can't do, you know, but at the end of the day, we're going to continue to push and find out, you know, what are we not ready for, right? You know, but I think that's the beauty in camp is we get to sort out what some of those things are, right? You know, and I think from a fundamental standpoint, we can't get bored with the small details, right? You know, so the minute things, the mundane tasks that are at hand, we got to continue to press forward on those.
Jalen didn't go through spring. What's it been like getting to work with him kind of hands-on during practice now?
Yeah, I think what I've been able to see out of JD, he's a very decisive runner, right? He can get north and south. He can stick his foot in the ground. He's got really good eyes. He makes full speed decisions. You know, so that's the fun thing that I've been able to see in camp so far with him. And, you know, he's going to continue to get more reps as we keep going. And so would you say he's playing a little bit of catch up? Of course. But at the end of the day, he's got experience. He's played college ball, which is a positive there. You know, we're going to continue to give him as much as we can.
And with Dylan, where have you seen him take kind of the biggest step forward from the spring until now?
I would say just what he can do beyond the backfield. It's been a lot of fun to see because he is dynamic right in the backfield, and it's really exciting when we split him out. You know, and just his ability to separate in routes, his ability to run routes, his ability to catch the ball down the field, which you would like to be able to see someone like him be able to do. And it just makes you that much more explosive. You know, and don't get me started if him and, you know, another running back is out there, right? Just the confusion that it causes defenses, the uncertainty that it causes. You know, and Coach K does a phenomenal job of putting our guys in situations to shift, trade in motion, and do all different types of things to get guys uncomfortable. So it's a lot of fun to see.
It does seem like with Dylan and Yasin, that's like a bigger contrast in skill set than you guys have had in the past. How does that change your job maybe when it is two guys who are talented in such different ways and you got to figure out whom to use when?
Yeah, I mean, we've like, I guess to me, we've always kind of been a multi-back system, right? You know, and honestly, it doesn't really change anything for me. In terms of how I've been able to train guys here, you know, and so it's at the end of the day, I think what it kind of goes back to our question of, you know, what are we not doing, or what are we not doing a great job of yet? But I think I would say that these guys have really put in the work to understand different formations and alignments. You know, so for me, being a former quarterback, giving those guys the perspective of what it's like for the quarterback in certain situations, right? What he's looking for, you know, what is our timing on certain routes. So giving that perspective to those guys, I wouldn't say that that's anything that's changed for me. If anything, it's just evolved for the players.
Are there any players you coach that are similar to Dylan at all in the bench?
I think you guys know the name Pooper Williams, right? You know, just in terms of what he was able to do on the field, dynamic in terms of, you know, make miss ability, return ability, catchability. I mean, all those things. But Dylan's his own person, right? And I think one thing that I love about Dylan is the kid will do any and everything to make sure he gets it right. I mean, he is super hard on himself, which I love. He's super coachable, right? And he's gonna he'll hit me up and he'll ask questions even when he's not in. Hey, coach, what's this play? I need to reference this spot, whatever it may be. That's what I really love about him is he wants to get everything right, and I couldn't ask for more from a player.
John, with Willis, describe his game, and is there anybody that's played at KU that's similar to him?
Oh, baby. He's. I think for his stature, I think in my time here, I think he's. I don't know. I think he is a mix of Dev and what Aisha and LaShawn kind of were. In my time being here, he's probably one of the bigger backs that I've had the opportunity to coach. But his ability to change direction at his size is really, really good to see. His run style, he's a bit of a slasher. He can get on the soft shoulder, and he's a load to handle when he gets downhill. But I think something else that has really kind of impressed me, kind of getting away from your question, but it's just his ability to catch the ball in the backfield as well. He's really spent a lot of time. I would even say even with Coach K too, in some periods where he's maybe not being utilized and just getting him on the side and doing extra ball drill work has really helped him and develop his game even more. He does really well in pass pro. So there's a lot that I like. Is there a true comparison? There's not really. I can't really say that there's a true comparison of someone I've coached here during my time. But I think that he's going to make a name for himself if we continue to put one foot in front of the other day to day.
You mentioned Dylan, when he's on the field with another running back, can create confusion. Yeah. Have you seen that in practice with the defense?
There's a lot of yin and yang. I think I mentioned that in the spring, right? There are some special things that, yes, both Yasin and Dylan can do, but even mixing some of the other guys in as well, it's a lot of fun to see. And they know that we're not going to relax. I'm not going to relax and what that standard's going to be on a daily basis, right, of what we need to bring to the table. Because there's going to be a lot we ask of our group, and we're going to be ready. So.
Jason talked a lot in spring about the urgency. Last go, same for him, same for Dylan. He said that kind of bonded them.
Yeah.
Have you seen evidence of that? I'm sure it's only turned up in the fall.
Yeah.
Have you seen evidence of those?
Yeah, they get after each other.
Yeah.
Right? They challenge each other that way, in their own way. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a beautiful thing when guys can, I won't say that it's yelling and screaming, but when they can hold each other accountable to what the standard is, and you see that happening naturally, it's a lot of fun as a coach, to be able to see your guys kind of, I won't say take on my personality, but they kind of do in that instance of just what does it take to really be elite and everything that we want to achieve. And I appreciate that from them, right? Because they want success too, right? They want success for the team, and we got to make sure we're doing our jobs.
Do you ever have to dial that urgency thing down? I mean, is it ever too much?
No, I don't ever think it's too much. And I think they want it that way.
One more on this, and you mentioned being impressed by the work he's doing as a pass catcher. That was something you got a chance to do a lot at Syracuse. Was that like a stated objective of his to improve in that way that he's talked to you guys about, or how did that kind of come out of an area?
Yeah, I think very early in the cycle of acquiring talent, right? There's certain marks that we look for. There's certain traits that we look for. But then there's also too the development side of it that I take a lot of pride in. For the running back position, and you look at what these guys are doing in the NFL. We really want to produce every down type of guys, right? And we want them to be able to have success in every situation, and not have to say, hey, you need to be able to go and do this. Now we're going to position the best players and put them in the best positions to go out and execute. But at the end of the day, we're going to develop these guys holistically in every area. for the team success first and foremost, but also too for them as players individually.
Anything else for Coach Wallace? All right, thanks everyone.
That's KU running backs coach Jonathan Wallace a little bit earlier this week. Really deep running back room like we've talked about with Edwards, Willis, and Dupree. And there's probably, and I would imagine Coach Kotelnicki's thought about this, some sets where Cam Pickett lines up in the backfield as well.
Have you thought about this? Hold on, put this on for size. Put your shoes in their shoes.
I'm going to put my shoes in DK McDonald's shoes.
Yeah, put your shoes in Andy Kotelnicki's shoes.
And he's not going to be wearing them.
And think about this. Dylan Edwards catching the ball. They're good, right?
Wow.
Pretty good.
Another element.
I'm excited for this running back room, man. It's going to be fun. Like, this is the deepest. I mean, I don't know. We always talked about how, like, you had Devin Neal, Daniel Highshaw, and Savion Morrison. Like, those are the big three. And you saw a little bit of Savion Morrison. Daniel Highshaw really kind of came to, but never really got his footing as, like, that one-of-one replacement. And, again, big shoes to fill. He wasn't able to put his shoes into Devin Neal's shoes. But I think when you look at these three backs, they all have different styles of running, and I think you're going to be able to utilize them in such a fun way. And Andy Kotelnicki likes to use multiple back systems as well. You got the thunder and lightning, if you will, of Yasin Willis, who's going to give you 3 yards on a cloud of dust. And, Dylan Edwards kind of a scat back, like you said. And Jalen Dupree is a fun, kind of healthy middle between the two. He can, break it on the outside, break those open field tackles, and then run it between the tackles. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And then you have guys like Corey Amakari, who knows what kind of role he's going to have as well. But Jonathan Wallace has done an excellent job in terms of, developing these guys and getting them ready. And I'm really excited to see what this running back room can do.
Hey, we're going to talk a little KU volleyball after this. Hear from Matt Ulmer, Reese Ptacek, and Aisha Aiono. They spoke earlier this week in the media room at Allen Fieldhouse, number 15 in the country. They will welcome Creighton a week from Saturday. In fact, this upcoming Saturday is the KU alumni match. Caroline Bien will be there. Cameron Turner will be there, and a lot of other KU volleyball greats. And then, like I said, the 22nd, the Katie Dalton revenge game exhibition as number 13 Creighton comes calling against the number 15 ranked Kansas Jayhawks. Going to hear from those three after this on Rock Chalk Sports, ESPN Kansas City, kansasnation.com. Welcome back to Rock Chalk Sports on this Friday Eve. We're going to hear from KU Volleyball here in a little bit, but got to tell you about Kansas Nation on social media. Of course, we've got YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. If you missed anything from our show, we also have a variety of other podcasts, Haney and the Hawks, Time Out with Tyshawn Taylor. He recently sat down with Christian Brown, sponsored by Meritrust, so you want to check that out on YouTube, as I said, and all across socials, the best coverage, KU soccer, volleyball, football, and more.
Yeah, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, at The Kansas Nation, at The Kansas Nation on YouTube as well. You can check out all of our shows on our YouTube channel. We go live on YouTube and Facebook every single weekday, so be sure to check us out. And then, like you said, a whole lineup of other podcasts to come. And you also gave it a plug. Tyshawn Taylor and Christian Brown sat down here and there, and I can still feel their presence. Really cool stuff brought to you by Meritrust. So, yeah, like I said, be sure to check it out and spread the good word about Kansas Nation. We're going to be out at virtually. I mean, we're going to be try to be at every single event for Kansas Athletics, giving you the best coverage possible regarding KU Athletics.
No doubt about that. And like we just talked about, KU Volleyball, they're projected to be very good this year. Again, number 15 in the preseason poll, as KU Soccer is number 15 in the preseason poll. Matt Ulmer, Reese Ptacek, Aisha Aiono, a little bit earlier this week at Allen Fieldhouse.
Good morning.
It's always morning.
It's always morning.
That's exactly.
All right,
I
guys.
followed your lead.
Guys, we have microphones, so we'll be able to hear the questions. And they're going up too.
Student athletes.
Ladies.
All
together now.
What are you waiting for?
I don't know.
First question.
That's right. Exactly.
Sam, who do we have here?
Got Reese Ptacek and Aisha Aiono. I'm with Head Coach Matt Ulmer.
Sarah. Awesome. All right.
Matt, first of all, you had the scrimmage over the weekend. Just how do you think that went? How was it seeing everyone get back on the court?
I thought it went great. Yeah, just a lot of new faces, and just trying to get everybody to be playing at the level we're looking for and get some familiarity with each other. And I thought it was pretty good volleyball. It's fun to see who will step up when the lights go on and there's people watching. It's just really hard to simulate that in a practice. So I thought they all handled their nerves pretty well and got after it. And yeah, I thought there was a lot of positives.
Aisha, Matt mentioned the new faces. You're one of the oldest members of the team at this point. What's it like seeing so many new players come in and being one of the most experienced around?
I think it's great. I think that the people, the new faces, have really bought into the culture that we're trying to create. I think that they're trying to apply the things that we're learning, and it's really helping us out.
Your head coach has made no secret about wanting to play faster. I'm sure you guys have heard that a time or two. How does that fit the both of you, and how's it gone, and are you excited about that idea?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been going really great. It's definitely it takes a lot of time to get used to because, I mean, the faster the offense, the better that connection needs to be. But, I mean, we have a group of girls who really are buying into it and really want to do it. Like, no matter how fast we're going, especially Reese and Chris, always like, I think we can go a little faster. I'm like, yeah, let's go a little faster. So it's just continuing to build that connection and just trusting it, putting a lot of trust in the setters and ourselves and their defense to keep the pass going fast so it's not just like a slow pass to a fast set, but a fast pass to a fast set.
Yeah, I think it's definitely an adjustment. I'm used to playing a little bit slower, but I love that we're changing it. I think it's great for us, and it's going to help us really run our offense better this year.
What is the biggest challenge for your position and what you guys need to do, right? Because you can see some of those littler flying around, you know, it makes sense that they can go warp speed. But how about you guys? What's the biggest challenge that you face?
Working in transition is probably the hardest, but we've been focusing on having more efficient footwork and being able to get up even if we can't get a full transition, just always being available so that we can help our other teammates around us too.
And you've got a lot of freshmen, obviously, too. But I wanted to ask both of you, and Matt, if you could too, just about Taylor Stanley specifically. Expectations, role, impact immediately, how she's fit in, all the things that you've seen from her so far. Any of you can take it.
Yeah, I mean, off the court, she's an amazing person, like from the get-go, and I'm really glad that she was able to come in early and get to know the team and us girls before. But yeah, super hard worker, and especially off the court, she's just a really happy person. She's a really happy, smiley, go-getting person, and she's someone like you want to go do things with. You want to go to dinner with her. You want to bring her over for a movie night. I think half the week she's at my place watching a movie with me and my roommates. Like, that's the kind of teammate you want who wants to be with you, not just on the court, but like off the court.
Yeah, I agree. She's always happy. She's willing to uplift her teammates, which really is helpful, especially when you're like falling down into something. Taylor's somebody that's going to like give the hand hug and really bring you back down and try and make sure that we can work better together and fix the vibe.
She committed to Coach Bouchard, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was that call like when you got a hold of her? She told me the other day that she immediately bought into you and your whole thing, and your wife and your kids were on FaceTime. I mean, what was that like from your perspective?
Yeah, I was just trying to get to know each other. They have a great story, and again, it's a Jayhawk family, you know. So I love the legacy piece. I mean, Taylor really wants to be here, and she wants to be great for Kansas, for KU, and I just think that's really special, you know. And so to see that, to see the community, again, she hasn't even played a match yet, you know, but to see the community already surround her, and you know, I think that's really cool. And you can hear from her teammates, like they adore her, and she'll do anything for them. She's one of those type of people, you know. She'll get a shirt off her back, you know, for them. So it's easy to want to be her teammate, you know. And from a volleyball standpoint, really fun to coach. I mean, she has major talent, major gifts. Definitely a need that we have on the team is opposite, right? So between her and Tessa, and she's doing such a great job of learning, and I'm not backing down with her. Keep pushing her, and she's cried very little, you know, very little tears, you know, which I'm really impressed by because there's pressure, you know, there's going to be pressure. Every freshman in the world wants to play right away until they have to play, you know, and then it's really scary and you have to perform, you know. So I've been really impressed with her that she hasn't backed down. She really puts in the work, the time. And again, I think if you want to earn the respect of your teammates, you just keep showing up and keep working as hard as you can. I think she's absolutely done that.
Coach, just from last year to this year, what was the biggest lesson you learned from last year and what you're trying to apply to this coming season?
Ooh. It's not a new lesson for me. I feel like I learned it in 2019. It was the one time we didn't make the tournament. Was you know, you're not ready to be great until the team's ready to be great. When the players buy in and it's something that they want to do. Doesn't matter how much I want. It's about how much they want to be able to do it. And I was actually very impressed with our group last year. Again, I don't know if it was the greatest roster that's ever made a Sweet 16, but boy, these guys really put in the work, and they really gave everything every day. You can hear them buying in. I believe they actually mean that. You know, I don't think they're just saying it. I think they've really tried. Like, whatever I'm selling, they're buying, which is great. And you have to be really careful as a coach when that's true. But I think they're really, they've given their best, and again, we found a way, to make it to the third round of the tournament just by outworking people, I think, which is a great quality to have. And so hopefully now we don't lose that quality, and now we, maybe have a little bit of a roster that shapes more to a system that we're trying to do, and we can play a little bit of better brand of volleyball, have more. We weren't a great offensive team last year. Hopefully we can have some better offense this year. But as long as that work ethic is there and we continue to add, who knows what we could do.
Coach, the schedule is drastically different this year than it was last year. Was that partly intentional because you knew you would be so young?
Well, we wanted home matches. So I think, last year we didn't have any home matches in the non-con, and all I heard from everybody was, "Where are you?" Which I totally understand. But so when you're scheduling home matches, you can't always just pick who you want to play. When you go on the road, you can kind of pick your competition a little bit differently. So at least from that standpoint, like we're playing half of our non-conference matches are home, which I think is great. I think everybody's really excited about that. I know we are. We were able to get some really great competition to come here, which again, that is not easy to do. That first home, weekend is Tulsa and South Dakota State, and those are two 25-plus win teams last year. So feel really excited about that. But opening up, having Creighton as an exhibition is great. It's a really good test for us. We get to play the alumni next Saturday, which will be nice to finally play somebody other than ourselves. It's really hard to know when you do scrimmages what's good or bad because you're losing every point, right? So you're winning every point, you're losing every point. So you don't know, is our offense good and our defense is bad, vice versa. When we play the alumni, it's a nice alumni group. It's a lot of current pros. So while they might not be, in sync, it'll at least be nice to be challenged by some people outside of our gym, and then to be able to play a really nice team in Creighton here will be great. I know they'll be excited for that. And hopefully that prepares us for Pittsburgh and Stanford to start it off. And that'll be a really fun environment. I think it'll feel like playoff atmosphere, which is similar to what Wisconsin felt like last year in the same tournament. And again, it'll be a really great taste for our young new group, to see what that life is like. Nashville, we owed a return trip to Lipscomb. So that's the last return that we have from Coach B. So I think that part's done now, but we're excited to go to Nashville and play in that tournament. And then we get a host, and I think it's a really nice schedule. I think it's a good blend. I think it's I think it makes sense for who we are. Yeah, like you said, we have a lot of new pieces, and I think by the end of the non-con, we should have a pretty good idea of what our strengths and weaknesses are.
A couple quick things. First of all, for the players, you mentioned communication with the setters. What's it been like strengthening your connection with Chris and also getting to know Reese Messer and what she's like as a setter for the first time?
I think it's been a work in progress, but there's been so much improvement with what I feel like it's been a short time. I think that we really are working on we're obviously trying to speed up the offense, so communication is the most important part, and being able to talk to them and be honest and hold each other accountable and trying to be better together.
Yeah, and it's building a lot of what we knew how Chris worked last year, and then especially with Reese Messer, like the second she came in, she was like more talkative towards us. That like she was like, how is this? What are we doing? This, and that. And I was like, all right, I kind of like this. But yeah, it's been great getting extra reps, whether it's before we started double days or just communicating on what the offense is going to look like. They've just been taking in everything we've been giving them and everything we've been trying to work on to get better.
Matt, you have talked a lot about the athleticism of these freshmen. What's it like, and touching 10-6 and all that. What's it like having that in the gym?
Wonderful. That's wonderful. I mean, one thing to have on your side, but also you want to play against it, right? So it's like, if they're not attacking, they're blocking. So it's just a more physical block. It's something, again, it's hard to prepare for unless you have practice players or something like that to come in if it's not on your roster. So to be able to have different blocking matchups in the gym, I think is huge. Be able to see different offensive players play at different heights and create different angles on their attacking is important for our defense. Our setters learning how to set them. Again, you're trying to go fast, but you want to play high. You want to be able to play over the block because now we have some players that can do that a little bit easier. So, for any setter, it's just if the range is bigger, it's a lot easier to set. So they can make you look better. But I think all 6 freshmen. I think I said last year that we had like one player at 10-3, to start, and all 6 are that. As freshmen coming in. So it's like it just adds the depth, and everybody else has brought their game up. So we're playing higher above the net for sure.
And then lastly, how will you manage the 2-sport thing with Sydney?
Yeah, a lot of communication with Coach Schneider. Again, as long as the two of us have Sydney's best interest at heart, like it's not hard. So, Sydney knows what she's trying to do. She'll get ready for basketball season. We're taking care of her just like we do all of our student athletes, and she'll be ready to go. So I think the hardest part is that she'll be missing some of those non-con games early on, for basketball, and that's probably the hardest part. And we're going to try to keep her away from basketball for as long as possible, so that we're playing. I'm sure everybody is excited about that piece, but she knew she was getting into. We all did too. We had those conversations well before any commitment happened. So now we just got to play it out and adjust as we go.
You mentioned the pressure that hits freshmen. I mean, there's always some, obviously. When you have so many and even newcomers, does greater pressure fall on the girls who have been around? I mean, do you think they feel that? Do you put that on them? Do you need that?
I don't know. I mean, normally freshmen don't know what they don't know.
Sure.
So it's like they're just youthful, just whatever,
Yeah.
So they're going out and playing. No, I actually thought they all played very freely in the first scrimmage. So generally it's the older ones that are, they know what the expectations are and they're trying to up their level, and whenever we're doing that, kind of put more pressure on. I think we actually saw that, in our first match. So, hopefully some of this will happen over time, where they can all even out. But no, I feel it's a really fun freshman group, but the only reason it's going to be great is because the older leadership. They really embrace these guys. We haven't had to talk about blending the team at all. Like they just right away they take them in. Like you said, like the freshmen are hanging out with her already. You know what I mean? It's like that, and that's all of them. And that can be a chemistry issue in a lot of teams, but it absolutely has not been. It's been, I think, one of our greatest strengths.
Is there someone that emerges, or you're pretty famous about not worrying about captains and kind of saying everybody's a captain in their own way?
Yeah.
Is there someone that has emerged or is emerging, or that you would like to be the one voice or the one or two voices, and maybe they're sitting next to you? I don't know, but
yeah, I think that's the beauty of kind of what I always push is that like Taylor can, like you said, like they already mentioned, like Taylor as a freshman, as a newbie, he's come and said like, hey, I can help you out.
Right.
And again, if you don't empower everybody on your team to do that, then maybe she misses that opportunity and they miss that opportunity to grow closer. I don't know, any team I've ever been on, one person can derail the whole thing. Yeah. So we really need everybody to be pushing this the right direction. And so far, we're young into our season, but right now everybody's doing that. On the volleyball court, you always want your setter and your libero, to be able to communicate well. That's always a big thing. Generally those two, and I always feel like your ball control, 6 rotation outside, those 3 are generally the nucleus of your team. They're the ones that are out there the whole time, right? So middles are generally 3 to 3.5 rotations. So while unbelievably important, they can give you bursts of energy, but they're not out there the whole time. It might be, a really crucial point, and one of them might not be able to be out there because it's not their turn. So generally those 3 are the ones that you're really hoping can be mature and have high IQ and communicate well.
You mentioned libero. It reminded me of that. I talked to Liv the other day. She said when she contacted you, or when you guys first got in touch, you pretty much had every answer that she was looking for. I mean, she didn't even have to ask questions, is kind of the way she framed it. And was that you doing the research on knowing what she was looking for, or was that just the meshing of your program fits her exactly like she wants it to, and vice versa?
I think it's super important in the recruiting process to be true to who you are, because again, you don't want to fake it. Like I don't want to trick anyone to coming here. That's why the transfer portal is so popular. It's like, and that doesn't do anybody any good. If they come here for the wrong pretexts on both sides, all of a sudden they're gone. We wasted time training, not wasted, but you understand, you're not going to get the fruits of that necessarily on your side. And they're going to have to look for a new home. Like, I don't think that's good for anybody. So I'm pretty sure I'm pretty consistent in my messaging and who I am. Like, I feel like I'm pretty consistent that way. And I think you're either, the great thing that I love about sport and all the options is if you don't like what we're doing, like there's so many other options for you to go find. And I don't take any issue with that. I hope that we're not doing what everybody else does. I hope I don't sound like everybody else. I hope I'm genuine to who I am and my experiences mean something, and so if you like that, if you connect with it, then this is a place you're really going to buy into and you're going to really want to be here. I think that's when the culture grows and it all works its best. So I think with Liv, it was so easy, and honestly Reese Messer too, the 2 transfers we had this year, because our first phone calls, it was like, oh yeah, like this feels easy. It feels like we've been doing this for a long time together, and I think you don't get that all the time.
Also in the realm of new additions, how's it been with all the new assistant coaches?
We only have 2. Come on. No. Well, I'll start with Anise. She's like a superhero around here. I don't, it's like she's amazing. It's really fun to have her, all of her experiences. She's maybe the most passionate KU alum I've ever met thus far. Like, she really just loves this place. Like, she's so excited to be here, and you can feel that. And having her talk to recruits, during our last recruiting cycle, just having her be around the team, like, it is such a benefit, and it's contagious. So just love having her around. She's been great in the gym. She can demo because she can still play. She can still get out there and show some things, which is really neat. So she's got a lot of street cred, with the girls, I feel like. So she's great. And then Connor is a stud. I mean, Connor's a worker. Just right now, he's out recruiting, while we're about to go on this trip. He's just doing everything that he can do, to help make an impact for our team. And so I feel like the two additions are really great fits for us, exactly what we need, honestly, to fill gaps, I feel like, in our staff. And I just feel really lucky that they're here.
Is Nice coaching or playing in the alumni game?
She's going to be playing.
Yeah.
She's on the other side.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win for her, really. So we'll see if they keep her, because if she starts throwing some points so we feel good, I don't know, they might dump her out. But I have a feeling she's not going to let us.
Right.
She's not going to let us do that. So yeah, it's a fun group.
Anything else?
Thank you all.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's Matt Ulmer, Aisha, Aiono, and Reese Ptacek of KU Volleyball. KU Volleyball, like I said, ranked number 15 in the AVCA preseason poll. Hawks ended last season at number 14 in that poll. They fell to number 1 Nebraska, straight sets in the Sweet 16. Remember that? That was kind of ugly. Nebraska was a wagon. But KU picked 3rd in the Big 12 preseason poll as well. 3 Big 12 preseason individual honors that we mentioned earlier this week. Reese Ptacek, Reese Messer, all Big 12 preseason team, and Taylor Stanley named the preseason freshman of the year. It all starts against number 4 Pitt, August 28th, opening spike tournament in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Of course, you got the exhibition coming up a week from Saturday, but a tough non-con schedule. Exciting, though, that we get to see these girls at Horse Family Volleyball Arena in the non-con, which we didn't get to at all last year.
Right, yeah. It'll be very exciting. Like you said, in the non-con, you had no games at Horse. Now Kansas has 2 individuals or classics, if you will, that are going to be at Horse Family Volleyball Arena. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, starting off the season against Pitt, I mean, that's going to be a tough challenge to start off the season. It's really going to kind of show them who they are. And, we'll keep an eye on all of this as it goes forward. Obviously, it's in Pittsburgh, so that's going to be a tough one as well. But yeah, I mean, really exciting stuff, obviously, with this volleyball team. And you have a ton of ladies back with Reese Ptacek and Aisha Aiono, 2 nice hitters. Obviously, Kristen Klein's going to be a nice returner, but with Reese Messer coming in, she's going to really be a rock star, and everybody's really, really high on her, obviously. And Taylor Stanley, I'm excited to see what she can do in her first year in the program. So, yeah, it should be a ton of fun, and it all starts, like you said, against Pitt, but they have an exhibition against Creighton coming up next week, and then this weekend they actually have the alumni scrimmage. You're going to see Anise Havili as well as Cameron Turner and a bunch of names from the past, so it should be a ton of fun.
KU Volleyball, always an awesome atmosphere over there at Horsch as well. All right, after this, we're going back to the KU football building, going to talk special teams with special teams coordinator Taiwo Onatolu. That's next, right here on ESPN Kansas City and KansasNation.com. A lot of storylines with KU special teams this upcoming season. Of course, new kicker, new punter as you lose Laith Marjan and Finn Lappin. You don't have Emmanuel Henderson as your kick returner either, but you do return Tate Nagy as your punt returner. Dylan Edwards, a guy who we expect to have a lot to say on the special teams unit as well. And like I said, new kicking unit in full. So a nice challenge for Coach Taiwo Onatolu. Coach O spoke earlier this week to the media.
First fall camp for you in a while, just focusing on the special teams. How's that gone for you so far?
Good. I've had a lot of time, to really dive in on the details, and we're just trying to figure out what are our weaknesses, what do we got to improve on. So we've been digging in and having a lot of extra meeting time and focusing on drills and the details and things like that. So it's been pretty good. Yeah.
Is there anything specific that's become clearer to you, or that you've had particular time to focus on as a result of this being kind of your full-time deal?
Really getting all the drill work broken down and the details of that. Right? So we're going to watch every single rep of the drill work, because it's kind of whole part whole. We're starting off with, we put it all together, then we break it out into drill work and seeing who can get off the ball the fastest, who's the best blocker, who's the best guy that can disengage, who can protect. So diving into those details, looking at kind of body types that we like in certain positions, can they do it, can they not, and then going from there.
New rules and no more 4-game redshirt stuff like that. How much does that help freshmen? especially on special teams.
I've had a few freshmen come in and want to, as soon as that rule came out, they're fired up. For us, it's great because in the past, you had to manage essentially, okay, I can play this guy in 4 games and then I have to redshirt him. I can play him in a possible bowl game. What games do I play him in? And then you don't try to disrupt the rest of the roster because you just want to play a freshman and get him some reps. So the fact that it's 5 for 5 and whoever's ready, whoever's the best guy, you're starting to see those freshmen knowing that, hey, knowing that there's no red shirt, that they're competing and know, hey, I can get on the bus right away. So it's been great for us.
Is it something, obviously it's case by case, but is it something where you look at it big picture and say, it would be nice to find 2, 3, 5 freshmen that we could plug in and just be starters on special teams right away? I mean, do you look for that?
We do, but in the sense, we've had guys that have showed up here in January. We've had guys that have been here 2 or 3 years. They have the experience. But as the season progresses, you're week 5, week 6, you're always looking for a fresh body that has energy, that's not banged up. And that's where I think it's a long season and you can plan on those guys showing up. That they may not run down game 1. If they're good enough, great. But game 3, game 4, game 5, they might be available then, and that's what's great about it, for sure.
You still have to differentiate a bit between whom you use at home versus away games because of the travel rosters.
Yeah, and it only affects us on a certain amount. It's real. We always think it's a big deal, but it never really is that much. But yeah, that's always something Coach Taiwo with Painter, our general manager, we work through those things.
So who are some of those freshmen this year?
Trey Brown's a guy that's really stepped up. He's done a really, really good job. These are just there have been a lot of good things, but he's a guy that keeps flashing in my eyes. Drayton Putt, we gave him an award for best scout team guy. He's a big kid that showed up and been showing up. Corey Amakri, he's done a great job on some of the special teams things. I'm trying to think. There's a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys that are showing up. Now, this isn't going to say they're going to show up and they're just going to start right away or anything like that, but they've been flashing. Corbin Glasgow, he's one of the fastest guys on the team. He's a smaller guy, but he can really accelerate and go. Bryson Hayes, there's a few guys, yeah.
It's a mental thing then. I mean, football's full of the NFL level, especially guys making a roster because of what they could do on special teams. Do you think these young kids get that?
Yeah, and they really start. It's really in fall camp you start to see because guys say they want to be professional athletes, and it's like fall camp every day for and so what it is it's the mental game. It's knowing how to watch film. It's not having the experience. It's understanding the game speed. For instance, in our meetings, we're showing this is how we practice it at a tempo pace. Then I'll show a full kick return and see how fast those guys from whoever, Missouri, are running down. It's going to be a different tempo and game speed, and it's hard to simulate that, and sometimes you don't get it till game day, and that's something they have to adapt to, and you only get that through experience.
What's kind of your opinion to maybe answer a little bit on starters on defense or offense, playing on special teams, and then what's kind of your take on balancing that?
Yeah, I think if you want to be good at anything, you got to have your best players on the field. Now, your most talented player, and you have to have a balance of, okay, if a guy's playing 65 snaps a game on offense or defense, he probably can't start an all-core 4. But if you get your starters playing on a couple special teams and you kind of spread it out and the backup guys are playing on special teams and you have a mix of that, and that's what we try to do to show the importance of it. And even last year, one of our best players was Emmanuel, right? And he was our kick returner, he was our starting gunner, and he made every tackle on the punt team. He started at punt. He literally made every tackle. Plus, he led our team in receiving. He was one of our most dynamic players. So we try to show guys like, hey, the best players got to play. We need everybody to be effective and get a win.
Where do you see Dylan fitting into the special teams picture?
Yeah, Dylan, we're putting it all over the place, but he's going to do some punt return. Obviously, kick return things he's experienced that, fired up about him. He sees things really well. He's really dynamic, and the part of what makes him so hard is he's a smaller guy, and you can't see him around behind big fullbacks, and then all of a sudden, when there's a little crease, he hits it and he goes. So really fired up about what he's doing.
Emmanuel so prolific at kick return last year. You mentioned Dylan. Any other guys you guys are kind of testing out?
Yeah, what we do is we always try to take a look at our fastest guys on the team, and so we'll throw those guys back there and see if they can read it. It's also a feel, and Kenny Logan a few years back wasn't the fastest guy, but he had good feel and timing and space, so he was a decent kick. He was a pretty good kick returner, but we always look for speed first and then throw those guys back there and then see what they can do if they can read a block.
Is punt return still Tate?
Yeah, we're always competing, but Tate's started all last year for us as a true freshman. He's done an excellent job. He's the punt returner right now, but like I said, we're always having 3 deep at every position, and there's Dylan's getting work there, Keaton's getting work there. There's a bunch of guys getting work out there.
You were able to have your kicker, punter, and long snapper all with you in the spring. How have they all kind of developed, I guess,
Yeah, Coach DeWayne, he works specifically with those guys. They're developing. They're doing a great job. They're getting. You see how 2 months pass and they're developing a lot more and they're getting a lot more comfortable. Now they understand the scheme. They're not trying to learn the scheme. Now it's just executing. And Matt Gill, he's been doing a great job. Martin, our kicker, Dane, all those guys are doing. Ben Shipley's a true freshman. So every day those guys are getting better. And I'm fired up about those guys.
Is it nice having more than one punter again?
Yeah, that is, you get a breath of fresh air and you're not so, we had to put them in a kind of a glass case last year just because we only have one guy. So yeah, we're in good shape with that.
Anything else for Joe?
Football special teams coordinator Taiwo Onatolu at the podium a little bit earlier this week. Like I said, Dan, you're losing pretty productive players in Finn Lappin and Laith Marjan, Emmanuel Henderson as well. So going to have some new guys fill in their shoes.
Yeah, fill in their shoes.
You like that?
Nice, that's good. But yeah, when you bring in Reno Monteforte, a guy who played in a college football playoff game, when you bring in Martin Connington, who had a very nice career over at Michigan State and was a really accurate kicker, and then obviously Matthew Gill, Kansas continuing to tap the Australian punter pipeline. I think it's going to be absolutely massive. And then I mentioned this in the open, but Kansas and Taiwo Onatolu specifically has such a larger well to tap now that you don't have the 4-game redshirt limit. You have the entire roster to kind of play around with special teams. That's only going to bolster the depth of the special teams. And then, like you said, you're losing Emmanuel Henderson Jr., but you also have Tate Nagy, who has a year of experience under his belt being that punt returner, and we saw really good things from Tate Nagy last year. And then you're bringing over Dylan Edwards, who, again, is going to be a real threat in that return game as well, especially on the kickoff return. So really excited about this special teams.
Yeah, should be a lot of fun. And, again, that is the secret third unit that we talk about so much. There's so much highlighted in the offseason, especially by us, about the offense, the defense. But KU's played a lot of 1-2 possession games over the past couple of years, and so often a game-breaking play is that secret third phase, special teams. Kansas has to be good on that front. K-State under Bill Snyder, let's call it how it was. I mean, they made a living out of beating everybody in that special teams phase of the game. Kansas was really good last year, the majority of the year, like I said, and hopefully even better this upcoming season. After this, we are going to talk a little K-State football as we give a record forecast for KU's October 17th opponent. That's next, ESPN Kansas City and KansasNation.com. Rock Chalk Sports closing down your Thursday here, and tomorrow's show will be very exciting as we're going to be talking KU football. KU kickoff at Corinth Square is tomorrow night in Prairie Village. We're going to be out there at the Kansas Nation, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Kansas Nation on Facebook for coverage. Hopefully you can get out and support the guys. It'll be a little toasty, so bring your sun umbrella, whatever it is you need, extra water. But Alex Dagey, Bethany Bowman, some friends from Sports Radio 810 WHB, and I will be out there. So looking forward to that and connecting with KU fans. We're going to have some interviews, hopefully, with KU coaches and players as well.
Also, there's a K-Club meetup from 4 to 6 at Johnny's up in KC as well. So if you're in the K-Club, be sure to drop by. Shout out to Andy Flower, president of the K-Club. Should be a ton of fun. Hey, we're going to talk a little K-State. By the way, Sean said this weird thing. I want to just real quick, 30 seconds. When he writes a capital J, he does the line first and then the J.
I think that's the way
do you do that with T's too?
Jimmy, what do you do? The line first or the J first? Line first? Okay,
yeah, you go J and then line.
Interesting.
Do you go when you go T? Do you go down and then across, or do you go across?
No,
and
I
then
go across and then down.
That's crazy.
What?
That's crazy of you.
No, I go across first.
You go down.
They're
and then
crazy,
across.
right, Trey?
That's not crazy.
Trey's a T. What do you do?
You go
across?
down and then across. Down in the cross. You're in the minority here.
No. T.
Anyway.
Wow, I never figured that was a minority type thing. But anyway, K-State football, yes, they will be having a season this upcoming year. They've got a good running back. Granted, he was the second best running back on the team last year in Joe Jackson, but had a good game against Utah, and that's something that'll be highlighted. But KU takes on K-State October 17th. It will be at the Bill Snyder Family Stadium. I assume it's still called that over in Manhattan. But first-year head coach Colin Klein. They go from Chris Kleiman to Colin Klein. They've beaten us a lot of years in a row. KU going to try to get them on October 17th.
I'll roll through this relatively fast. A soft non-conference, of course it is, because they're cowards. They're playing Nicholls State first at 6 p.m. It's going to be on ESPN Plus. Shocker, they're not on national television. They beat Nicholls State. Washington State, who I believe won the Pac-12 last year, or the Pac-2, if you will. So, hey, conference champion. Good for them. K-State beats Washington State. That's going to be at home as well. And then Tulane. That's going to be an interesting game because Tulane's coming off of college football playoff berth. Now, I believe they didn't retain their head coach. I'm not for sure about that. But that'll be interesting. Interesting game for sure. I think K-State winds up beating Tulane as well just because, I don't know. It's in Manhattan, so sure, I'll give you that one. So they start off 3-0. Then they go to Cincinnati to start off conference play. That, to me, feels like a win for Kansas State. Start off 4-0. Houston goes to Manhattan. I think Houston winds up beating Kansas State. And I'm going against my word saying that I'm not buying into the Houston hype, but I do think that Houston goes into Manhattan and winds up beating K-State. So they go 1-1 in conference play. They start off 4-1. Then they host Kansas after losing to Houston. I think this is where the tailspin starts. I think that Kansas goes
shocking. Jimmy, isn't that shocking?
I think Kansas goes into Manhattan and
so this
shocks
is our third
the world.
team in Kansas. This is our third team doing this, and KU is like 89-0 at this point.
Kansas is by far and this is just the way that it's shaking out. Kansas has beaten all three of their first conference opponents. They've already beaten Arizona State and Utah, and then now they will beat K-State in Manhattan. K-State, actually, I did say this yesterday.
When we were further into the offseason, like in June, you were looking at the KU schedule more so like the prognosticators are looking at it. Now, as the season gets closer, KU's just going to win every game.
This is just the way that it's shaking out.
Weird.
I have no rhyme or reason. I just think that Kansas is going to beat all of these teams that we have covered so far. We'll see how it goes as we continue along. I think K-State goes into Tempe and wins against Arizona State. I think they do beat Arizona State. They go to Colorado.
That would be a nice win.
That's an easy win there. Oklahoma State, I'm not fully bought in there, but at the same time, I don't know. It is a home game. So I'm going to go ahead and give the win to Kansas State. I think they go to Fort Worth and lose. I think that they lose to Arizona at home and they lose at Iowa State.
Wow.
So they end on a 3-game losing streak.
What an interesting
The only losses that I see on
schedule.
here is Houston, Kansas, TCU, Arizona, and Iowa State. So there's 5 losses. So they go 7-5 this year.
Okay.
And they end the year badly.
So that includes a home loss to Arizona.
Correct.
A home loss to Kansas.
Correct.
And a home loss to Houston. Plus you lose at Iowa State.
Lose at Iowa State.
Who has a
I think Iowa State figures it out.
First-year head coach. Interesting.
Hey,
All
he
right.
won the Pac-2 last year.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I guess we'll go with that. Hey,
Conference
big thanks to Jimmy Kaufman, Elijah Schmidt, Trey Myers behind the cameras today. For Dan Courtwright, Sean Kellerman saying make sure you join us tomorrow, 4 to 6, Friday edition of Rock Chalk Sports. Thanks to everybody who's been listening on ESPN Kansas City and watching KansasNation.com.